Today on Autos in Paradise, we're going to change the alternator on the 2016 Jaguar XF because it failed while we were running and it killed the battery. So we're going to charge the battery, do a couple tests just to make sure it is the alternator and not the battery, and we'll just what I did to remove that guy and put her back in. All right, so your alternator went out. What? For a quick check, go ahead to the front of the engine and go to the booster terminal. Go ahead and open up that. Take off that top cap there. Put your meter on 20 volt DC because we're going to be checking. We want to see if that battery is about 12.4 to 12.8 volts DC. If you're getting anything under that, you may have some issues with your battery. However, what you can do is turn the ignition on, start the engine, go back to that terminal, and you can check if you're going to get anywhere from 13.8 to 14.6 volts. Now, if you're reading voltage that high, your alternator should be working. Hopefully. Here on our car, our voltage is 0 right now because I have it disconnected, and we're going to have to charge the battery. But I'm pretty confident that our alternator has been completely void of any operation. Now, our vehicle obviously had a warning signal telling us that the charging system was failing on the dashboard. However, if you're still curious, you can always go back to the rear of the vehicle and check the terminals there and do the same checks.
So it's charging now, but it's at 5.9. We got it down to 4.8 before the car died, and so you can see that's about a 50% loss just by trying to drive it.
Okay, so here we are. We've disconnected the battery, the negative terminal from the battery, and it's a 10 millimeter. We're going to take that off. We've jacked up the car because it's jacked up. Actually, we've raised the car because it is jacked up. Okay, what I need to show you now is the method I'm going to use to take these bolts off. I've got this one here, this one here. These are 13 millimeters and one up here that's a little bit tricky to get to, but you can do it from under the car. And up here is our tension release from that inside belt. I don't believe we have to take off the outside belt to get to it. So I've placed I'm using a torque wrench because that's what I have with an extension, a 1/2 inch. Just the extension itself will fit into that tensioner, and we're going to release it. That's going to release our belt. So the top 13 millimeter, we're going to take that off, and the bottom two also. Over here is where, over here on the back side of the alternator, those are our electrical connectors that we're going to take off, and that's going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to show you that also. And this is our girl right here that is responsible for the lack of power to our system, giving us a lovely situation where you have to tow your car from wherever you find yourself.
Where are you?
Under the car?
Oh, you doing your car?
Yeah.
I miss you.
I miss you too. How are you doing? So, you got one of these in the back. And they will tow you to safety. And then that pops in just like that. Oh, the other thing I was going to show you is our paint job. Remember our bumper job that we did a while back? Let's show you that. It's still holding up. Aside from the bugs and everything, so we put that matte finish on there, that matte finish clear coat. Still looking good. There's our radiator, still holding. There's our cool Jaguar symbol. What I've taken the liberty to do is also, if you notice, further back behind this alternator, there are a couple clips that I want to release. Let me show you if I can. That clip there, and there's a little zip tie that I cut and that's going to give us a little room to take those top connectors off once we release the 13mm bolts. We're going to release the tensioner so we can pull this belt off. Just like so, and that will allow us to pull the alternator down just enough so we can get to those two electrical connectors. Here's another view of that top bolt in question with the belt off or with it on. You can get to it. And another thing or another trick I'll show you is I've kind of zip tied that belt out of the way to give me a little bit of freedom to get that bolt out of there. Now we want to take these two bottom bolts off, but we want to be careful because when these bolts come off, this thing's going to drop. And I don't want to put any tension on those wires. Somehow, as I put myself painted myself in a corner here for you. All right, we're sturdy. Okay, so the trick with this connector is that you're going to have to pop it out of there like so. And then you're going to be able to pull that guy right off of there. Kind of jiggle it off. And then that will release that top connector. Remember the orientation of that, because that's going to be important. Not that you can get it wrong, but that's going to be on the flat. I put this strap up here for demonstration purposes, or maybe even for your purposes. This may make your life a little bit easier. And then now we can get to that guy right there. And that will release our last connector. And I guess we'll just leave it right there. Yeah, this might be, if you have one of these straps, that's actually, I made good use of that guy right there. And you will be pleasantly surprised because that also is a 13mm. All right, here we are with our new alternator. We're going to go ahead and put our positive electrode on facing to the back, and then we're going to put our small electrical connector on here and clip it on. And then we have our 3 bolts just like this. General orientation. We're going to put our 2 bolts down here and our last bolt here. And those are 48 Newton meters, and positive electrode is 12 Newton meters. We're going to go ahead and attempt to do this. I have a small situation with this particular alternator. It doesn't match exactly to the terminal lug here. It looks like this is a 90-degree indentation here and here, so I'm going to flatten this side over here on my terminal lug just to make it fit. So let me demonstrate what's going on here. The 2 indentions for the terminal lug are at a 90-degree angle here. On our other, you'll see on the old alternator here how it's got multiple indentions for that terminal lug. We're going to have to make a slight modification to the existing terminal lug, and what that does is prevent it from turning or slipping or coming loose. So we're just going to roll with it. This terminal is going to be facing to the rear, so I need to flatten this one because I don't have a indentation here. So not a big deal, I don't believe, so we should be all right. We're just, sometimes you got to roll with it, you know what I'm saying? So what we did was we put the vice grips on there, and I got me a pair of lineman pliers to flatten out this side of the terminal lug. Make sure this sling is, looks like it's coming off up there, so be careful if you're doing this. Extremely careful. I don't want somebody in the comments that, oh, thanks, DC, I smashed my face doing this. We'll go ahead and torque that down to 12 Newton meters. Now here in America, in the land of the inch, we're going to go with 106 inch-pounds. And there we go. 106 inch-pounds approximately. That's 13 Newton meters for you fine people in other countries that use a system that makes sense. All right, here we go. All right, we got that on there. We can pull our boot down and over that if we like. Spin this around a little bit. Make sure that's on there. Protect it from the weather. We got our small connector here. I think you can see. We'll go ahead and put the flats on the flats like they were. And then that goes in here like this. And that clips in there like that. So yeah, so we got our top bolt here. It's gonna go towards the top of the engine. And then we got our small, or not small, but we got our flats here that we're gonna line up. And the sooner you can get those threads started, the sooner you can let go. It's all about letting go, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you. Let go of the noise, the distractions, put your mind at ease and get her started. You know what I'm saying? There we go. See, you got the threads started. Now you can kind of relax a little bit. Make sure you got a few threads. You don't want this thing falling on your face. That would be tragic. We're not about tragic here in paradise. And then that, look how easy that one goes in very nicely. So we're connected electronically, I guess, electrically. That should give us a little wiggle room to get that top bolt. Make sure that's really nice. So I got my 2-inch extension with the socket. It works really nicely. It's just about perfect for our needs here. Slip that up under there, and then we will be on our way here. Yeah, that's feeling really nice. Give her a little wiggle to make sure she's in. Yeah, it's really, really smooth sailing. If it feels tough at all, you're stripping something out. You don't want to do that. Trust me. Oh yeah. Smooth as silk. Get that started. You don't want it too tight. We're gonna go to 48 Newton meters. But on these 3 bolts, but there is a tightening sequence. So we're not gonna start tightening anything down. There is a torque sequence on these, and I'll go ahead and show you that here in a minute. I just want to get these started and on. Same thing down here. This is going really smooth. I'm actually impressed with myself. Yeah, just get those just tight. So we're gonna torque that top bolt first. That's 48 Newton meters. Then we're gonna go to the pulley side. That'll be number 2 at 48 Newton meters. And last here, 48 Newton meters. So top, then we're gonna go to this pulley, number 2, and number 3 here towards the back of the engine. All right, you can go ahead and take this as advice or caution, but I am going to put the belt on first because I need my torque wrench. So I'm going to take those zip ties off and get those out of the way over here. And then when we put the tensioner on, that should give us the necessary. See, there we go. We're all on there. See, I didn't have to take this front belt off, and it is easy peasy. Make sure, double check that your belts are all aligned in there. You're almost going to feel like you know what you're doing at this point. 35.4 foot-pounds. 48 Newton meters. And there we are on that one. That's number one. Come down here to, let's see, yeah, we'll come down here to number two. 35.4 foot-pounds. Number three. Now, I guess if you don't have a torque wrench, you can just grip it and rip it. Not my first recommendation. All right, so remember, like before, we had that zip tie clip. We're gonna press that into the engine, and then that goes right in there, like so. Make sure that's in there. That secures in there fine. And then we got this, our zip tie over here. For your own personal satisfaction, go ahead and zip tie that guy back up in there like it was before, and you'll be solid. All right, once we have that torque down, we're going to go ahead and slip that belt on, and I'll show you how to do that. After that, we're going to head and we're going to put the positive and negative terminals back onto the battery. We're going to check our voltages, and then we're going to start the car and make sure we got correct generating voltage. What is it? Generating power voltage, whatever it is. to the battery. And once you're done, go ahead and come up to the top of the engine, do another belt inspection, make sure everything's lined up really nicely. I would love to give you a nice view, but just make sure all those pulleys are aligned, all the belts are in place. I get a little bit of a view there. There you go. Just to double check, you don't want to damage your engine at any point at all, ever. So yeah, so make sure that's all aligned. I got my air box back in, and there we go. There she is, ready to rock and roll. We'll go ahead back to the back of the vehicle here. We'll go ahead and connect our battery now that it's fully charged, and we'll put that guy back on there with a 10mm. All right, let's go ahead and make a couple quick voltage checks. We've connected our battery with the positive terminal first, negative last. We've got, let's see if I can show you. We're starting out with 12.52 with the car not started, obviously. We're going to go ahead and start the vehicle and see what we get. Well, our warning went away. That's always a good sign. And we'll go ahead and make sure we're charging. Looking at 14.9, 14.8, 14.9, 14.93. Hope you can see that. We're looking solid here. So we're getting good charge off of that new alternator. Go ahead and lower the vehicle if you haven't already. Take the jack stands out because you ain't going to go far if you don't. And we're solid. And there we are right there. There's our mileage. That's when our alternator failed, or maybe a mile back. So here we are at 124,000 miles, ladies and gentlemen. Cooling system is operational still, so you'll be happy to know that all your hard work has paid off and you are styling. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, and there's our engine light. That's our oxygen sensor, so we're gonna have to take care of that eventually.